So, how's it going? I'm back again. I just had a video about risk and the risks that I took in my life, which was volunteering to be laid off in the recession, getting into real estate, which nobody had money to buy a home and everyone was in foreclosure, and then starting my own real estate company. It all was risky, but it was weird because I had a fear of success. I didn't have a fear of failure, which is really weird. Like, I would procrastinate because I thought I would become so successful I wouldn't be able to handle it, which is crazy. So I'm just going to talk about the one question that that will be asked about yourself when you're in something that you may like or you may not like. Okay? So the story is, I volunteered to be laid off. I get into real estate. I started at a small firm, did pretty good, all right. Actually, not money-wise, not well, but it was the recession. That's an excuse I'm about to say. So definitely could have done better. Then I was like, I need to make more money. This company is taking all of my commission and they're not doing anything for me. So I went around, I went to the large firms. I ended up joining a firm, and in my opinion, it's the best one in New York City, outside of mine, of course. So I joined the firm, and I was so aggressive joining the firm that the manager literally thought these massive expectations. So I was aggressive in actually getting the job because I literally knocked on the doors. I went door to door. I literally, I don't think I had an iPhone at the time, but I literally printed out a map and I drew where all the offices in New York City, all the real estate offices were. And I literally said, okay, this is Halstead, here's Elliman, here's Corcoran, here's Sotheby's, here's Brown Harper. Those are all firms in New York City. Literally knocked on it, had a resume, wrote a card, followed up, finally started getting interviews because they were packed with real estate agents. So I started getting interviews. Because I was so aggressive and because the manager was so impressed of how aggressive I was, but also how impressive I was interviewing, he had these high expectations. 6 months into it, I literally made only about 30 grand, which is only 15,000 in my pocket because it was a 50% split. So in 6 months, I literally only made 15 grand. Manager calls me into his office, and I knew it was about my production, but I also didn't know what he was going to say, or the consequence of not producing. So he calls me into his office and he goes, listen, we obviously know you're not producing. Here are the numbers. I was on like page 3, and he goes, you're going to now share a desk. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, you're going to be moving, starting today, you're going to be picking all of your stuff up, and you're going to be moving to another desk. Okay? So this is when it happens. This is when it hits the fan. Okay? When you're going through a breakup, which I was. I had no money because I was spending all of it because I was making no money. I was paying for health insurance because that's exactly what... So my expenses and my overhead were ridiculous. I was in like the lowest of all low. I was not producing for 6 months. I was going through a breakup, and it was just like, I was just not confident at the time at all. And then I walk into my manager's office, and he says, by the way, today you're going to be picking all your stuff up, and you're going to be sharing a desk. So I remember walking at, first of all, when you share a desk, the public shame of sharing a desk is like immeasurable. Because everyone in the office knows you're sharing a desk because you are not producing enough. And I remember asking him the question, how much do I need to make to get my desk back? So, and he said in the next 6 months, so think of this, in the first 6 months, I made only $30,000, $15,000 to me, but I only made $30,000 in 6 months. Then he says, in the following 6 months, to get my desk back, I need to make $187,000 in 6 months. He said it, and I was like, picked my jaw off the ground, and I to this day, I just remember like looking down opening the door out of his office, walking out of his office, going outside. It was like a beautiful July day. Everyone's excited. The sun is beaming. And I just remember walking down Broadway on 13th Street to 12th Street and thinking, and this is the question. I've led up to this question. When something happens, and it's always at the worst time, you ask yourself, is this right for me? Is this right for me? And that's where the path diverges in anything. If you're a Navy SEAL and you're going through BUD/S, which is basic underwater demolition school, and you're going through BUD/S, which is like 2 weeks of just sheer hell, every SEAL candidate asks this question, is this right for me? And and then if it's a no, they leave and they ring the bell and they leave. If it's a yes, they buckle down and they make it work. And I'll never forget it. I remember looking down and just saying, is this right for me? Is real estate right for me? I've had a decent run, 2.5 years, 3 years in it. I've made money. I met tremendous amounts of people. I loved what I did. And I asked myself, is this right for me? And I literally just remember in that moment, it was such a gut reaction. And it was based on two things. Number one is I just did not want to go back to a 9-to-5. And I really liked what I did. I actually loved what I did. So when that question came into my mind, and everyone in real estate has a moment like this where they say, is it right for me? And if they say no, gone. They leave the industry. Is basketball right for me? Is wind sprints right for me? And then they say no, and they quit the team. They leave the job. And if it's yes, then they continue and they buckle it down and they make it work. And sure enough, in 6 months, I literally got there every single day between 7 and 8 o'clock, and I just hit the phones. I emailed as many people. I called for sale by owners. I called all my clients. I called all my friends. I called all my family members and was like, I'm in real estate. I literally, if you know anyone, I will service them. And I busted my behind and I made it. And I made $187,000 in 6 months because I made the decision. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. And sure enough, I made it happen. So ask that question when you're in a job. And the only way you can find out what you're passionate about, and I'm going to say this in another movie or in another video, is you have to do a huge array of jobs. So that's my video for today. You will, if you ask yourself, is this right for me in your current job? Is this relationship right for me? Is where I'm living right for me? Your gut makes the decision. It's actually more of the lizard brain, the beginning part of our brain, which Simon Sinek, which is a book behind me, he says it starts with why, and it's our reptilian brain starts with why. So it's a gut reaction when you say, is this right for me? If it's a no, leave it. And I just did a video about risk, and it's necessary. Risk is necessary. You need to do it. And it starts with the question, is this right for me? So anyway, that's your passionate question. If it's a no, then leave it. If it's a yes, you buckle down and you make it work, because I did. And if you try to buckle down and you just don't feel it, then it's not your passion. And that question usually happens at the worst time. As in SEALs, like I brought up before, is that it's literally when you're the most exhausted, you're the most hungry, you've already thrown up, you can't feel any part of your body, and then you ask your question, is being a Navy SEAL right for me? And that's why they have such a vigorous school, because they want to weed the people out. And that's the question they ask themselves, is this right for me? So ask that question right now, subscribe to my YouTube videos, and follow me on Instagram. Ask that question throughout the day, and you'll find out what is right for you. Relationships, where you live, the job, exercising, hobbies, whatever. Is this right for me? Anyway, enjoy your day. Talk to you guys soon.